Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. And this bombshell interview dropped last night. I watched it with my family on CBS. I wasn't going to, but it wasn't uploaded online actually, so I'm kind of glad that I watched all 2 hours of it and made a ton of mental notes, wrote some physical notes right now, and I'm going to just drop the hammer on this 2 hour debacle of lies that we were subjected to last night. So, or I guess at 4 o'clock in the morning if you are in Britain, if you were in Britain while watching this. If you guys don't know, if you're new here, I was a fan of Meghan Markle. I am a fan of royal women in particular and royal history. That came to be when I was 13 years old and I found this fictional diary about Marie Antoinette in my middle school library and took it. I checked it out and never brought it back, and I've been a fan of royalty ever since, whether it's Queen Marie Antoinette, whether it's Princess Diana, whether it's just, any woman in royal history, the Empress of Japan, the imperial family of Japan, it's just interesting to me. I'm just very interested in that kind of stuff. The Empress Elizabeth of Austria, also known as Sisi. Very interesting stuff to me personally. So I started to learn about royalty, royal history, and royal etiquette through women who were in positions of royalty. And especially like in middle school, high school, you learn about, King Henry VIII, of course, and the Tudor dynasty and all of that fun stuff. And Queen Elizabeth I, of course, very big names in history. So you kind of have a brush about royalty on that aspect. And then we have living royals today. We have TV, we have internet, we have books. So stuff like that is kind of unavoidable unless you're living in a bubble. And especially because I speak English, as you can hear, the British royal family obviously is the reason why we speak English, because Britain, kind of the imperial side of Britain, did the thing with all English speaking countries today. So anyways, let's get into this big bombshell interview. Number one, I'm going to just address the claims that Meghan made throughout this interview, in the best way that I possibly can. Basically, she claims that Kate, her sister-in-law, made her cry before the wedding. And that this story came out 6 months after the wedding, and the palace didn't say that, the story was that Meghan made Kate cry, and the palace didn't issue a statement to say, hey, that's not true. Don't say things like that. What people know at this point, or don't know that I'm about to say, is that the royal family is not like a PR team where, first of all, you go to any grocery store in the world, there's a thing called tabloids. And every tabloid has all of these stories. And so this whole narrative is that Kate made Meghan cry before the wedding and apologized to her, bought her flowers, and wrote her a handwritten note of apology. The same person who talks constantly about wanting privacy and how they won't name the person who allegedly hooked up her and Harry on a so-called blind date, right? So-called, because they want to protect their privacy, is then telling you 3 years after the fact or 4 years after the fact that, oh, well, the story's not true. And my sister-in-law made me cry, actually. And to top it all off, she wrote me a letter and she sent me flowers. And I don't want to throw her under the bus, but, nobody stood up for me. Okay, so basically, when there's tabloids, when there's people saying whatever they want to say, at the end of the day, you cannot control people's thoughts and opinions and whatever. And it wouldn't make sense to always be clapping back at people and saying this is fake news, that's fake news. You don't have to address everything that they say because people are going to say whatever they want. It's just salacious stories, it's gossip, right? And I don't really understand, because there were stories in the media about Kate and Meghan having a feud. However, in the very beginning, in the engagement interview, because they got married in 2018. In 2017, November, during the engagement interview, Meghan said out of her own mouth that Kate has been lovely and helpful, even in what is this? In Finding Freedom, Harry and Meghan basically said through Omid that Kate and William were amazing to them, and they were, other than this whole comment of, oh yeah, you need to be careful with this girl or whatever William allegedly said to Harry. That Kate was wonderful and told Meghan, you can talk to me whenever you want, because obviously she understood what it was like to marry into that family and that job and institution. However, I'm going to pull out the receipts and talk about the so-called media bias that they say that was against Meghan. First of all, Kate met William when she was 17, 18 years old in college, maybe 19. And from the day that she met William until today, there's been stories about her in the press. First of all, Life and Style magazine printed her on the covers of these magazines. I'm going to read them out loud to you right now. The Queen humiliates Kate. At war with the Queen, Kate packs up and leaves. Tormented by the Queen, Kate leaves the palace for good. She endures months of bullying about her parenting, overspending, and wardrobe malfunctions. Kate vows, I'll raise my kids in the country. Life and Style magazine. Kate's secret health battle, 98 pounds and pregnant. Panic. William calls in top doctors. Crisis. Kate confined to the palace for 27 days. Bravery. She's willing to risk everything for another baby. Another headline. Kate's biggest fear, pregnant and alone. Prince William has 6 weeks to choose between the military career or family life with Kate. Quote, I can't raise our baby without you. Another headline from Star magazine. Pregnant Kate collapses. Ambulance called after William finds her unconscious on the floor. The Globe said miscarriage drama. Brave Kate loses baby. She tells William we'll try again. In Touch Weekly. Will and Kate's baby heartbreak. Royal doctor confirms she can't get pregnant. The devastating news rocks their marriage. Plus why they can't adopt. Star magazine. Breaking news. 7 weeks early. Kate rushed to the hospital. Palace orders media blackout. Hospital prepares for premature birth. William races to her bedside. Life and Style magazine said again. Under attack by royal family. Fed up Kate fights back. The Queen calls her Duchess Doolittle. Another headline from Life and Style magazine. Stars under pressure, starving to be sexy. William tells Kate to ditch the diet as the size 0 princess drops 10 pounds. Hollywood gossip. 17 pictures of Kate Middleton looking smug as heck. Another, all of these are headlines. Why is Kate becoming the invisible princess? As she increasingly shrinks from the limelight, the question worried courtiers are whispering. The Duchess refuses to be the new Diana. 12 times Kate Middleton showed a little too much. Kate Middleton's awkward demand to pals about what to call her before joining royals. She probably needs a rest. Kate Middleton faces online backlash after breaking a 115-year tradition by pulling out of presenting St. Patrick's Day shamrocks to Irish guards to spend time at home with her children. Kate Middleton keeps wearing this one item Queen Elizabeth hates. 17 reasons why the Queen probably hates Kate Middleton. Daily Mail. The York princesses, which are Eugenie and Beatrice, dislike Duchess Kate and the feeling is mutual. 50 Shades of Kate's Grey. Daily Mail devotes entire article to Kate Middleton's locks and new beauty policing low. Another tabloid in the UK. This woman called her a plastic princess designed to breed with her face on the cover. Another story from the Daily Mail. Dirty Rich Girl. St. Andrew student 23 is called a liar on social media after reporting a assault by 2 men at charity fashion show that Kate Middleton took part in 16 years ago. Another headline. Meghan Markle and Kate both social climbers in royal family, expert claims. 20 times Kate Middleton looked anything but royal. Prince William's friends accused Kate Middleton and sister Pippa of social climbing. Kate Middleton criticized for canceling engagements due to kids, called lazy. Duchess of Cambridge. How Britain stopped believing in the royal fairy tale. Online bully shamed Kate Middleton for her thin frame as she battles severe morning sickness. Why was Kate Middleton not accepted straight away? Body language shows tension. Kate Middleton's secret feud with Beatrice and Eugenie. Gasp. Kate Middleton broke royal protocol during lunch with the Queen. Kate Middleton hates purple walls in her home. Kate Middleton reportedly went pheasant shooting the day after Meghan Markle, who hates hunting, went home. Royal rift. Camilla didn't want William to marry pretty but dim Kate Middleton and urged Prince Charles to help split them up, royal author claims. Kate Middleton hates and fears Cressida bonus due to her Isabella Calthorpe connection. Prince William left Kate for Isabella once already. And what do? Queen wants Kate Middleton to get charity jobs to counter claims that she's work shy. Kate Middleton branded the boring one by a vicious TV host who compares her to First Lady of the United States Melania Trump. Kate Middleton branded dull and pedestrian. Quote, she gave up her life. Kate Middleton snub, how Kate kept Princess Beatrice at arm's length in wedding drama. And of course, they put her face on the side of a bus and called her Wady Katie, saying that William didn't want to marry her. So she had to endure all of this from the ages of 18 to today. And of course, she's been compared endlessly to Meghan Markle, who was the exciting, fresh, fashionable, modern royal sort of person. And, you know, people really compared them. The fan bases really compared them and called Kate Middleton the do-nothing duchess, blah, 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 and called her the mute. And called William the egg, which personally I found that very funny, but it's not funny, but it was just kind of funny that people called him an egg. Like, I don't know. Second, she said that she had no idea what being a royal was, what the day-to-day entailed, blah, 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 blah. And of course, for me, she keeps using the ignorant American card. She always pulls that out of her hat by saying, I'm an American, I'm an American, I'm an American, I'm an American. And I guess if you do not have a sort of understanding or a sort of interest in royalty like I do, maybe you would not know. However, Meghan went to Buckingham Palace as a teenager on a summer trip to Europe. She was outside. Her childhood friends say that she was obsessed with Diana and really loved her and cried during her funeral because she and William are allegedly the same age. So therefore, she grew up during a time where she would have obviously known who Diana was. Her mother claiming that, did Diana ever give an interview? Everybody knows about the Panorama interview. Diana said it was literally all over the TV. It was all over the media. This is before social media. So that's like, you know, for example, 2007, I was 12 years old. And that's when Britney Spears had her mental breakdown. We didn't have social media in 2007. I vividly remember Britney Spears because she was a ginormous part of my childhood because I was born in 1995 and she was literally everywhere. So can you imagine being in a time where Britney Spears, Princess Diana, of course, is bigger than Britney Spears and is everywhere. That's like me saying, oh, did Michael Jackson ever give an interview when he gave the famous interview with Oprah and with Martin Bashir? And he was everywhere. So it's not like nowadays where with social media, some people don't know who Liza Koshy is. Some people don't know who Sabrina Carpenter is because there's so much more saturation. But in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, there was a hand select of maybe 50 to 100, 200 celebrities that were worldwide famous that everybody and their dog knew about. Princess Diana is arguably the most famous woman she was the most photographed woman of the 20th century. So she was like the most famous person and one of the most famous people in the world. So, I mean, to sit there and be like, I don't know anything about her is a lie. It's literally a lie. You have to be living somewhere out there in the middle of the woods with no sort of connection to the outside world to sit there and be like, I don't know anything about anything. And also, when you look at the interviews, she has the heavy makeup on like Diana in the Martin Bashir interview. When you look at her in the Nobody Ever Asked Me If I'm Okay, Diana said something extremely similar. So the things that they're both saying, could it be coincidental that they're saying the exact same thing? Yes, but could it also be coincidental that it's a parroting? Because you have to look at it like this. There are two different types of people who are looking at this in this way. There's people who are looking at this from a black minority so-called person of color angle and looking at it with their emotions of, oh, this poor black girl married these white old people who just didn't like her because she's half black and oh my gosh, they think she's tainting the bloodline. And then there are people who are like, look, we see this for what it is. We think this woman is actually a social climbing narcissist, and that all of these things are just calculated PR moves. And it's to the point where, honestly, people have predicted things that she would do from a mile away. There are people who predicted before the wedding that, yeah, she's not going to be in this family for 5 years. She's going to be here for a little while, and then she's just going to leave and say, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, because they believe that this is all an act and this was all a game to her, right? And that's for you to decide. This whole thing of, oh, I had no idea about being a royal and princess this and princess that and etiquette and this and nobody taught me. First of all, okay, if that is true and Harry didn't educate her on anything, she's now throwing her husband under the bus and saying, you didn't prepare me for this. She claims I never Googled my husband. Okay, fine. First of all, she blogged about Kate Middleton in, I believe, 2013 or 2014 on her now defunct blog, The Tig, talking about, oh, there's all this pomp and circumstance around Princess Kate. You can look that up for yourself. I'm not going to insert that screenshot here because I already did a whole video about Meghan and Harry's timeline of life and them leaving the royal family last year, so you could look up that video. She blogged about her so-called sister and her now sister-in-law. She claimed she was friends with Princess Eugenie before she met Harry. Meghan never lived in London. Meghan has visited London before. Princess Eugenie didn't, to my knowledge, have a job in Canada. I believe she or Beatrice worked in New York City, and Meghan never lived in New York City. She has traveled to New York City for work. She lived in Canada for 7 years in a rented house with a rented car that was rented to her by the company. Her production, her team, whatever, right? Because she was working there. How do you become friends? That's like me saying I was friends with Tito Jackson, and I know nothing about Michael. I was friends with Jamie Lynn Spears, but I know nothing about Britney. I was friends with, I don't even know who, Justin Bieber's cousin, but I know nothing about Justin. I'm friends with Kendall Jenner, but I know nothing about Kim. Do you understand how that's hard to believe? Like, do you guys understand what I'm saying, that that's hard to even fathom? Because this is somebody's first cousin who lived with them, plays with them, knows them intimately, and you know nothing at all about Harry. You know nothing at all about Diana. It's all just this big mystery. Okay, do I know what it's like to be a royal? No. Have I watched the Princess Diaries, for example? Yes, I have. And, I mean, maybe it's not like that, okay? It's probably not like that. But you have a whole, this is how you walk, this is how you talk. And guess what I looked up? I looked up royal etiquette, and guess what I found? An article that Vogue magazine did in November of 2015, way before Meghan and Harry met each other. Can a commoner learn Kate Middleton grace? The first sign that I like Kate Middleton's royal graces is I'm 20 minutes late to an etiquette class on how to attain Kate Middleton's royal graces. The second is that I arrived to the Midtown Tower in New York City, where the class is held not by Rolls-Royce Phantom, as Kate did to Westminster Abbey on her wedding day, but by a cab. And I'm not wearing Alexander McQueen either. I'm a leather leggings type of girl, but I attempt to appropriate Kate's traditional style with the BCBG wrap dress. From the bowels of my closet, black Zara heels, and for dramatic effect, costume replicas of the diamond oak leaf acorn earrings she wore to the royal wedding. I own them because, as most people who know me, I possess a deep abiding love for the Duchess of Cambridge, aka the artist formerly known as Kate Middleton. So they have the same birthday. She's basically talking about how she went to this etiquette class and all of that kind of stuff. And there is a class called the Duchess Effect that is taught by Micah Meir, the founder of New York's Beaumont Etiquette and a dual American and British citizen, who, according to her bio, trained in London in part under a former member of the royal household of Her Majesty the Queen, and worked with the members of the British royal family, all of that kind of stuff, and attained a finishing school in Switzerland. So this is a whole article about how to have royal etiquette, how to sit like a royal, how to eat like a royal, all of that fun stuff. And there's etiquette schools. I looked it up. There are etiquette schools and finishing schools in London. There's so many articles going back to 2017 about royal etiquette in regards to fashion, what they wear, all of that fun stuff. And to sit there and say nobody, I mean, if you don't have a huge command of, I mean, I've never met the Pope, but I know that he's referred to as Your Holiness. I know that I've seen people kiss the ring of the Pope. So I have sort of an idea that if I ever met him and was to shake his hand, at least you go for a handshake. At least you say, hello, Your Majesty, hello, whatever their title is. I mean, to literally sit there and be like, I didn't know I had to curtsy. I thought that was for the outside. Like, it's like going to a job interview in sweatpants and being like, oh, I don't know job etiquette. Like, I don't know interview etiquette. Guys, we live in the information age. And for me, I cannot believe that a 35-year-old is going to sit there and say, I didn't know. When she was very heavily on social media. She blogged about royalty. She actually spoke to another royal and interviewed her for the TIG. So I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And even, someone close to me in my family said yesterday after the interview that, Diana, her life story was out there. Her interview was out there. She lived in a time of cameras. You can hear what she had to say about marrying into the royal family. That Sarah, the Duchess of York, aka Fergie, gave an interview on Oprah herself in, I believe, the 90s or the 2000s. And her story is out there. There's documentaries on these people. There's pictures and videos and all the stuff of how to curtsy, how to behave in front of royals. It's not some big foreign mystery that you have to wait until you're in the palace to be educated on. So I don't believe that story at all, period. And in London, there's a whole list of finishing schools, etiquette training. And she's implying that Kate had royal training, but she didn't have it. I personally do not believe it. And also, Kate Middleton dated William for a very long time. And she is the next queen. She is going to be the queen after Camilla. She will be the queen of England. So, therefore, she needs to have more training. And you can also look at photos of royal women sitting, how they dress, all that, and kind of guess, okay, maybe I shouldn't sit with my legs wide open, because that's just unbecoming. In the 1940s and 50s, I have a whole secret board on Pinterest of etiquette. And they have pictures going to the 1950s and 40s of how to act and how to sit and how to stand. So you can just kind of go off of that, right? Come on. And so, yeah, if Harry literally didn't, now she's just trying to play the blame game. She's 39, 40, however old she is, blaming everybody else for her failures or so-called shortcomings. She claims that she was married before the wedding. According to my knowledge, I've never been married before. I would love to be married. As far as I know about marriage is that it cannot be you, your husband, and the pastor. You need to have two witnesses. Because then one person can say, we were never married, and you say, we were married, and it's you against him. And then you need the two witnesses there to be like, yeah, actually they were married, we were there. Well, I don't know if that's the reason why you need two witnesses to wed, but you need two witnesses. So this whole thing of we had a backyard ceremony and it was just us, according to the Church of England, allegedly, from what I have heard since waking up this morning, that would be an illegitimate marriage. So they were married legally on the 19th. Then it's different if you say we want to have our own, we just want to say our vows to each other, because saying your vows to each other doesn't make you married, right? Because then you'd be married to like every ex that you wrote a love letter to, right? But you have to sign a marriage contract and it's legally binding and whatever the case may be. I don't really know about all that. Change your last name, whatever. So I don't believe that either, right? And if she was married before the wedding, actually married, legally married, why then Princess Beatrice had a private wedding? Why then do the whole pomp and circumstance Like you said about Kate, why take $30 million of the taxpayer money and do all of that? Archie having a title, the big thing. They are implying that he didn't have a title because of his race. Oh, going back to, wait a minute. Let me say this, backtrack, let me rewind the tape. There are many women who married into royal families. Her Imperial Highness, I believe that that's the title that I'm supposed to use, Empress Masako of Japan, was a college student when she met the now emperor, His Imperial Highness, and he really liked her. He proposed to her. She said no. She was minding her own business. She had actually went to Oxford, wanted to be a diplomat. I believe she was a diplomat for a short time, and he proposed to her again. Finally, she said yes. They got married. Her one job as a woman and with Japan's imperial laws was to produce a male heir. Unfortunately, with their first child, she miscarried, and eventually they had a daughter, Her Royal Highness. And unfortunately, the princess is not going to be able to be the sole empress of Japan. And Japanese royal women cannot marry. If they marry commoners, they have to give up their titles and go live regular lives, which has happened before to certain women in the family. And Japanese royals have never married foreign royals, because once upon a time, royals married royals. So if, let's say, Korea had a royal family then, it would be a little easier for the Japanese royals to marry Korean royals or Chinese royals and kind of still have, you know, an Asian monarchy, or marry a duke from Spain or something to that effect to keep the royal titles and all of that. But as far as I know, Japanese royals have never married outside of Japanese royalty, right? They like to keep the, they like to be purebred horses, if you catch what I'm throwing. However, the next emperor of Japan will be the emperor's nephew. So there's that. And Empress Masako had depression for a very long time and disappeared from royal life for quite a long time. So she perfectly understands how to be a royal, how to marry into a royal and face public scrutiny. Her daughter actually had to drop out of school because she was bullied and went back to school, all of that kind of stuff. Like I said before, Emma Weymouth married into British aristocracy. Princess Angela of Liechtenstein married into the Liechtenstein royal family in the year 2000. She was actually a fashion designer from New York. Princess Angela of Ethiopia met her husband at a club, at a nightclub, and married into the Ethiopian royal family. She, like I said, she's American. And, you know, there's just, you know, there's people in her own family who married into the family who are from Canada, blah, 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 right? So this entire thing of she's acting like she was the lone wolf. She was the only foreigner on God's green earth to ever marry into a big family, a royal family, whatever the case may be, another lie. So far, everything that she said so far in this interview, quite frankly, has been proven to be false. The whole thing about Archie having a title, Princess Anne, Her Royal Highness Princess Anne, who is the Queen's actual blood daughter. Her kids do not have titles and they're fine. There's lots of people in the so-called, in the British royal family who don't have titles and they're fine. This whole thing of, oh, Harry claims that Meghan didn't have protection, she didn't have bodyguards, is false. Because we saw her, and this whole, I'm going to address these two at one time. This whole thing about her having no bodyguards, they weren't going to be able to afford her having a bodyguard, and her not having her passport and her driver's license and her keys, car keys. What car, I don't know, because she was not living in Canada anymore. Being taken from her. She traveled to New York for the baby shower. She traveled to Wimbledon, to the US Open in New York right after Archie was born. She traveled during the all the royal tours. So please tell me how she was not allowed to leave the house. And this whole thing about how she didn't leave the house for 2 months, there was a time where she left the house twice in 2 months, is another lie. I'm going to do a comprehensive timeline of this woman's life into the royal family, but I'm going to skip over some parts. So November 27th, I'm going from 2017, from the official announcement of the engagement, because before then, she had been seen strolling around in, Kensington and all that kind of stuff. Paparazzi shots, of course, magically came out about all that kind of stuff. We know that she herself has set up paparazzi shots. It's been admitted. November 27th, 2017 was the engagement announcement and interview, the whole photo call in the sunken garden. December 1st, they visited Nottingham. December 20th was Christmas lunch at Buckingham Palace. December 21st, the engagement photo shoot was released in the fancy gown. December 25th was their Christmas. January 9th, 2018, they went to a radio show. January 18th, they went to Cardiff Castle and Star Hub. February 1st, they went to the Endeavour Awards. January 13th, they visited Edinburgh. February 28th, they went to the Heads Together event. March 8th, they went to visit Birmingham. March 12th, they had the Commonwealth Day service. March 23rd, they went to visit Northern Ireland. April 6th, they went to the Invictus Games trials. April 16th, they had an event in London. And it lasted for 4 days. So each day they went to a certain event. April 21st, they went to the Invictus Games reception. April 21st was also the Queen's birthday celebration that night. April 23rd was the Stephen Lawrence memorial service. April 25th was the Anzac Day service. May 17th and the 18th, they had wedding preparations. The 19th was the wedding. May 22nd was the garden party. June 9th was Trooping the Color. Now I'm going to skip down to the pregnancy timeline because it's alleged that she conceived the baby in July. So that's where I'm starting from. July 10th, the day before my birthday. They were in Ireland. July 14th, she went to Wimbledon with Kate Middleton. July 17th, they went to the Nelson Mandela sort of museum situation. July 26th, they went to the polo match. August 4th is her birthday and they went to a wedding, a friend's wedding. August 29th, they went to see Hamilton. September 4th, they went to the Well Child Awards. September 6th was the 100 Days of Peace concert. September 20th was a cookbook launch. September 24th was the Coach Corps Awards. The 25th of September was the Oceana at the Royal unveiling at the Royal Academy of the Arts. October 3rd, they visited Sussex. October 12th was Princess Eugenie's wedding. October 15th, they arrived in Australia, and it was the day of the pregnancy announcement. And then from October 16th to the 31st, every single day was the day of the tour, so we basically saw her every single day. November 10th, the royal family went to Albert Hall. We saw them all together. November 5th, they had the 100th anniversary of of Armistice with the royals, so we saw them that day. And then November 11th was Remembrance Day Sunday on the balcony. And then that night was a service at Westminster Abbey. November 13th was the day that the Prince of Wales' birthday portrait was pictures. The photo shoot that they had all together in the garden was unveiled. And then November 14th was his birthday celebration, so they had a dinner. November 19th, they went to the Royal Variety performance. November 21st, she visited Hub Kitchen on her own. December 10th was the Fashion Awards with the black dress. December 18th, she went to the Old Folks Home in Brinsworth. December 19th was the Queen's Christmas lunch. December 25th, of course, was Christmas. January 10th of 2019, she was awarded with 4 patronages by Her Majesty the Queen and visited Smartworks, I believe. And then January 14th, she and Harry went to Birkhead when she wore the red coat and the purple dress. January 16th, she visited the dogs at the Mayhew Center. And then that night, she wore that purple dress where she claims that she wanted to check out of Life's Hotel early. And Harry was so concerned about her that they basically kind of forced each other to go to that event. And he was holding her hand so tight. And then January 30th, they went to the National Theatre. She went to the National Theatre. January 31st, she went to the Association of Commonwealth University event. Then she went to Bristol sometime that week when she wore that flower dress and it was snowing. And then February 7th, 2019, they went to the Endeavor Awards. February 12th, they went to a gala performance. February 19th and 20th was the baby shower weekend. February 23rd, she went to Morocco with Harry for a couple of days. March 5th, they went to Buckingham Palace for another event. March 6th was the We Day celebration thing where Harry gave a speech about how the Generation Z has done the most good in the world, something weird like that, and brought Meghan on stage, and she was just like shy and laughing or whatever. March 8th was the International Women's Day panel. March 11th was Commonwealth Day in the green outfit and then the pillbox hat. And then March 19th was the Book of Condolences with what happened in New Zealand. And then May 8th was when Archie was presented to the world. So please tell me, guys, so you're trying to tell me that with all of those events during her pregnancy alone, being seen 45 times exactly, you're trying to tell me that she only left the house 2 times in 4 months? Like, what are you, where? Like, where is that? Like, where is that? And then even before then, like before the engagement, she was saying, I couldn't have lunch with my friends, all of that. First of all, on January 20th, 2019, Daniel Martin, who is her makeup artist who did the makeup for her wedding, posted a teapot, some little chocolates, some avocado toast, and tea, and said, "Back to our Tig days," which was the name of her blog. Thank you, Meghan, for being the consummate hostess this weekend and still being the hashtag avocado toast whisperer. Yum. Shrug emoji, avocado emoji, bread emoji, teacup emoji, hashtag foodie gram. And it was liked by, of course, thousands of people. And then there was a whole article written about how Meghan and her friends, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So, yes, the whole thing about having a title. Once upon a time in the royal family, everybody and their cat had a title, and they basically started working on shrinking the monarchy. I'm paraphrasing badly because I've been talking for quite some time and my throat is tired. So they've been trying to shrink the monarchy, and basically because it's taxpayer funded, they're trying to basically just shrink it up a little bit. First of all, Princess Eugenie and Princess Eugenie's child her son doesn't have a title. Jack Brooksbank doesn't have a title. He didn't become a prince on marrying Eugenie. But Meghan became a duchess because William and Harry were gifted dukedoms. They were princes by blood. But to have a dukedom means now you've been sort of, back in the day, it meant you were given this huge piece of land to kind of rule over it. Nowadays, Prince Harry can't say, oh, hey, Sussex, you have to do this and that and this and that, because he's a duke in name, but he doesn't own the land. I don't really know how that works, but there's a bunch of dukedoms. You can look it up online, that there's a list of dukedoms, and usually they'll be gifted upon because once upon a time they were hereditary. So there would be Georgiana Cavendish was the Duchess of Devonshire by marriage, and her husband William was the Duke of Devonshire, meaning his dad and 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 his dad were the Dukes of Devonshire. So they literally, had this plot of land and they oversaw it. And then on top of them was the king at the time, right? So people are she implied that there was a comment made by somebody who is anonymous about what Archie would look like. And what I'm going to say about that is that everybody wonders what kids will look like. Everybody guesses what kids will look like. And when you look at Harry, and Meghan, they both have freckles. Harry is a redhead. So it would be an interesting guess to kind of think, what is the kid gonna look like? Are they gonna be a redhead like you? Are they gonna have a lot of freckles because you both have freckles? To me, I myself made a post once upon a time wondering what the kids would look like. So I don't, but Harry is implying that it was about race. How dark is the kid gonna be? Which to me doesn't make any sense because he didn't marry Alex Weck. He didn't marry Naomi Campbell. He didn't marry Gugu Mbata, who are all darker skinned than Meghan. Meghan can pass as, she herself has said that people couldn't guess her race. That some people think she's Jewish, some people think she's Latina, some people think that she's Italian, and she can pass for a whole lot of different things. She could say she's mixed with anything and we would believe her. Or she could just say, I'm not even black. She could say she's anything else. She could say she's Latina. She could say she's whatever it is that she would closely look like ethnic wise, and people would believe her, because when you look at her compared to other biracial people, like half black people, you can't really guess that she is like Mariah Carey. When you look, there's certain people that when you look at them, like Alicia Keys, when you look at her, you could see that, okay, she's half black. When you look at Leona Lewis, you could be like, okay, yeah, but then there's certain things like that you could say, okay, you could be mixed with something else, but I don't really know for sure, you know? And so they're saying that the Queen never said it. Philip didn't say it because those two are the ones who basically control the whole situation. The big bosses didn't say it. So they're basically saying that Kate, William, and Charles or Camilla are the super villains who are so mean to them and not there for them and unprepared. And, you know, then we get to the big bombshell of, I wanted to check out of the hotel early. Hotel California. You can check in, but you can never leave. That she wanted to check out of the hotel early. I already addressed early on in this sort of podcast that, you know, the palace doesn't issue statements left, right, and center about A, B, C, D, E, F, G, because it's not the same thing as being a celebrity, where you have a PR team and you can just say whatever you want and sue newspapers left, right, and center. And people are going to say whatever they want for views and clickbait and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, and that Kate Middleton, in her 10 years, over 10 years, 20 years basically, of having to endure media hell, and now it being worse because now she's being painted as a racist bully. Has she ever sued the newspapers? You know, a French publication published topless photos of her, and Donald Trump actually tweeted in 2012 that, like, oh yeah, I mean, of course they're gonna do that because she's beautiful and like she shouldn't have been sunbathing, basically, right? But guess what? When he became the president and he came to visit the palace, she was there. Her family hosted him, and they were mature about it. Because that's being an adult, that's diplomacy, right? And I personally find it very hard to believe from a personal standpoint that Meghan wanted to check out of the hotel early. I think she was just mad because she couldn't clap back at the paparazzi. I think that was her problem. And I personally think that because of how the royal system works, that's what the problem actually was, and not, I just can't, for me, it just seems not very believable. And this whole thing about how the royal family was jealous of Meghan, I'm not buying it either. I believe that there's nothing that anybody has to be jealous of her about. And this whole thing about, she was so popular. She wasn't more popular than Diana. Nobody else marrying into that family would be more popular than Diana. This is not going to happen. And someone actually said on my Instagram that we think that they watched The Crown and just kind of copied the whole storyline, and they're just trying so hard to get us to really believe that Meghan is Diana 2.0, and that's their shtick that they're going with. And to me, it just seems like that's really the angle that they have. And this whole thing about Harry saying that he never rode on a bicycle as a child was a lie, because there are pictures of Charles riding him around multiple times on a bicycle, and with William, and separately. So that's a lie. We know that during the baby shower in Canada, Wimbledon, all of that kind of stuff, Meghan had royal protection officers, so the idea that the royal family wasn't going to give her security was a lie. The thing about him being cut off financially is that they get paid by the Duchy of Cornwall, which are the state funds that it's like when you are high up in a business and you take a business trip. The business often pays for your accommodation. They pay for your plane ticket. They rent you a car. I cannot quit working as a manager at Amazon and then say, hey guys, can you still pay for my accommodation? Can you pay for my this and that? No, the money is going to come out of your own pocket now. So guess who else doesn't have security and they're royal? State-funded security. Princess Eugenie and Beatrice. Their dad pays for their security out of his own money, and he has a naval pension. So that's the only reason why they have security. And they both have jobs because they're not full-time working royals being paid from the sovereign grant. So that's the difference between Harry and Meghan. And this whole thing of, being half in and half out. They wanted to merge Sussex Royal. They wanted to make Sussex Royal into a lifestyle brand, and it couldn't be because you can't quit the monarchy and then monetize it. It's not a personal brand. It's not like, Sephora. It's not like something like that where it's somebody's personal brand where you can just do whatever you want with it. You're not Victoria Beckham. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And so this whole thing of like, there's other people in the family who are allowed to do this. Beatrice and Eugenie have real jobs. And they use their actual skills and degrees to make money. Because Beatrice, I believe, works in consulting, something like that. And Eugenie works in an art gallery and is in the art world. And works for does art auctions and all of that kind of stuff. So what does that have to do with being royal? What does that have to do with anything? It's about your qualifications. So Meghan could have been still acting and all that kind of stuff, but she decided to give all of that up to be a working royal. But now that she's no longer a working royal getting paid off of government money that is allotted for working royals, she still wants the benefits of being a working royal. And Harry has his own money. He should be able to pay for security, but of course you're not going to get the 40 security guards or whatever amount that you got before because you don't have that budget. And, it's just this whole pity me, while we still have, sicknesses and diseases going around and people losing their jobs and being homeless and all that is just ridiculous. And I'm trying to I'm trying to understand how, Harry saying that this was right at the beginning when she wasn't going to get security, when members of my family were suggesting that she carries on acting. How is that even possible when, there's people like the Duchess of York who married into the family in the 80s and, and all the other basically people who married into the family who still, you're trying to tell me that the future king's son somehow doesn't have a budget, but all these extra other people do. I don't believe that. I don't see that being a reality. Personally, I don't understand what he's even talking about. And it's just odd. I'm just like, I don't really, you know what? And the thing is, Meghan had said that, like, her and Harry were talking about, all these health problems and mental health and mental health. Well, they have heads together. They have Shout, which is a texting service. Basically, there's like a hotline that was launched a couple of years ago. So I'm trying to understand this whole, I was embarrassed, and William has opened up about depression. Harry has opened up about depression. So how are you going to sit there and say, oh yeah, I don't. And the thing about it is, it's Diana all over again, because Diana said, oh, I had depression and I never had it in my whole life. And, talking about how she threw herself down the stairs when she was pregnant with Harry and wanted attention from Charles and this and that. And now it's another pity me. I had it so hard and, I couldn't take it anymore. And I didn't want to, like, so when it was all good, when everything was all good and everybody loved you and all the media coverage was favorable, and, before you married him, when you were, controlling your own narrative and nobody really had anything negative to say about you because you weren't an A-list celebrity. So, of course, when you're having your friends get you into magazines and posing paparazzi shots, of course, people aren't really going to say anything negative because they don't know you like that. But if you go to people like the Kardashians, who are A-list celebrities, and you read their comments, they could literally post a picture of avocado toast and people will talk trash. So it's like, when she was in her small bubble of fame in Canada, or like in her own world where she was like controlling the perception that we had of her, then everything was fine. When she was with Harry and everybody was so happy for her and everything like that, and she was the new kid on the block, everything was fine. But once the people started to scrutinize her, then she couldn't take it all of a sudden. When it was like, not everything was fake news. So I think that I hit on every single, I hit on everything. There's a guy named Robert Jobson, who's is the Royal Editor on Twitter, and he said, hashtag Prince Harry tells Oprah, and says that his family are scared of the UK tabloids and that there's an invisible contract between the Institute and UK tabloids. Meghan claims tabloids have holiday parties at the palace. What on earth are they talking about? So basically, the UK public are like, what? They're saying things that haven't happened and that don't make any sense at all. So it's like, it's like they just sat there and just lied to us for 2 hours straight, and they're this is now how they get their foot in, because ignorant Americans aren't gonna go up and look up royal etiquette. They're not gonna look up anything I just said or have receipts or anything like that. So therefore, it's just like, now this is how they're going to get their foot in the door with Black Hollywood. This is how they're going to get their foot in the door with actual everybody Hollywood, because it's like, I'm a Black woman and they were so mean and racist to me, and now, I had to run away from these older racist white people, and I don't care about titles. And every single time she talks about anything, she's the Duchess of Sussex. The Duchess of Sussex. She's not Meghan Mountbatten Windsor. She's not Meghan Windsor. She's the Duchess of Sussex. She doesn't care about the titles, but the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are doing this, and the Duke of Duchess have been seen doing that, and the Duchess and the Duchess and the Duchess. Yeah, so I just don't, I'm sorry guys, I don't know if I'm being insensitive and all that kind of stuff, but I just don't believe anything that she's trying to sell me at all. I just don't. And I have the receipts to say this is why I don't. I'm not a hater or anything like that. I just think that these two people have very deep psychological issues, and they want to outshine the sun. And you can never outshine the sun, because the sun is the brightest thing in the galaxy. So yeah, guys, I wonder what's next from here. It's just, I'm kind of glad that they're away from that family, because they were just they are the toxic ones. They are the sick ones. They are obviously just want it their way completely 110%, and it's their way or the highway. Like Harry said, what Meghan wants, Meghan gets, and I just don't. I'm kind of shocked that someone would just sit down and lie for 2 hours straight without batting an eyelash like it was nothing. But like, it's just the perpetual victimhood of two 40-year-old multimillionaires, and I'm never gonna feel sorry for a multimillionaire, really. Especially one that was given the world on a silver platter sort of situation. And so, I mean, it's just a lie about the whole Archie, and he's not gonna be safe. When has anything happened to any child in the royal family? The last time something dangerous happened to anyone in the royal family was when Princess Anne was kidnapped in the 80s or the 70s? No, the 70s. So, yeah, that happened like, what, 40 years ago? And so please spare me the nonsense. Anyways, okay, guys, thank you for listening to this video, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye, guys.